Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we are with Lois. She is from England.
Yeah.
And she wants to share with us life experience, thoughts, and feelings. Hello,
Hello.
Lois. How old are you?
34.
34. How was your childhood?
Very close family. I've got two older brothers. My parents are very present.
Mhm.
Not much money. That's one of the things that comes up now when I'm
Mhm.
thinking about my family, my kids. But yeah, we're still very close.
Very close.
Yeah.
What did you learn from your childhood?
How to be frugal. How to be every penny makes a pound, and
Okay.
you can wash that and use that again over and over again. Sort
Mhm.
of very fastidious with making sure that you're not wasteful and keep hold of everything. I'm a bit of a hoarder because of my family.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll blame them.
How was your adolescence?
Well, I recently found out that I have ADHD, and I think if I'd have known that sooner, a lot of the issues that did come up when I was a teenager would have been easy to understand.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would say it was, well, everyone thinks that their adolescence is normal, don't they?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I did quite well at school.
Mm-hmm.
I could have done better because
Mm-hmm.
I hung out with people and wanted to smoke weed and
Mm-hmm.
not study. But yeah, I wanted to go to university to do film production, but then got very tired and I couldn't get out of that tiredness. But now looking back, I realised that was like an ADHD burnout. But at the time, I just thought I was very depressed or maybe had some chronic fatigue or something. But now I know that it was because of my neurodivergence issues.
You you never visited doctor to have a look what's going on there, or your parents, how they?
Yeah, we all just came to the same conclusion, which was basically I was just low mental health rather than that there was any underlying causes, really.
Mm-hmm. What did you learn from that stage?
That I put a lot of pressure on myself, and that isn't inflicted on by my parents. I think that's just self-inflicted. But I'm very, I wouldn't say competitive, self-competitive, and wanting to make sure I'm keeping up with my brothers. So I'm the youngest of three. I've got two older brothers, so wanting to be as strong as them, as fast as them, as good as they are at X, Y, and Z.
Why? Because you feel like.
Just because I want to feel like I'm as or more successful as everyone who are my peers. So if I wasn't good at something straight away, I would give up on it and move on to the next thing. And then as soon as someone was like, "Oh, you're really good at this thing," I was like, "Great, I've got my thing."
Okay.
But yeah, that moved around quite a lot.
So. How was the relationship with your parents?
I would say my mum and I are very close, but there was a bit of division, a bit of a barrier between us because I'm bisexual, and when I first told her, she forbid me from ever talking about it again, which put a bit of a rift between me and my dad as well, because she told me I was under the impression that it would be absolutely forbidden and I would get in a lot of trouble. So my dad didn't find out until I was 20, when I had a girlfriend, and I was like, I need to introduce you to somebody. I'd say that was the main barrier between us, but aside from that, we were very close. My mum's very nurturing and loving. My dad worked very hard to make sure that we could all eat well and stay in our home and,
have the basic things.
Basic things, yeah. We would go camping for holidays. We only went abroad once, which was paid for by my mum's brother to go and visit him. So we never really went on anything flashy. camping was great. But camping with 3 kids and 2 of them were constantly
Wow.
fighting. My brothers were always fighting,
Yeah,
so
it's
yeah,
normal.
it's a bit hard work.
15 brothers is normal.
Yeah.
What did you learn from your mom?
From my mum's main passion was being a mum, so she was really very content with making sure that me and my brothers were happy and healthy, and that let me think, what else does it, she's a really good friend of mine, so yeah, patience. She's very patient. Yeah, she's
Oh,
very
that's a good
patient.
one.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful one. What did you learn from your dad?
A lot of DIY practical things. I would say my dad went to university when I was a child, so he had 3 kids, started his foundation degree when I was 5, finished his undergraduate degree when I believe I was 7, and then he started his career in electronics engineering from then. So before that he was just doing odd jobs since he finished school until he was, I think, 36 when he finished his degree. So I suppose what I could say I learned from my dad is that if you can change your career at any point. You can pursue the dreams that you wanted. He was always wanted to do that from when he was very young, but I think the setting that he was in at the time, his family and maybe the teachers that were encouraging or discouraging, he never thought that was an option, so he didn't pursue it until he was stretched so thin with 3 kids, can't afford to send the kids to nursery, so my mum couldn't work, so she was staying at home looking after us, and they had not much money between them, so he's like, right, now's the time.
Okay.
So yeah, that's good.
Did you feel your father was there?
It's funny you ask that, because I don't actually, when I think back to when I was young, it's not that he wasn't there. I don't think there was an absence, but I can't really remember him around all the time, because he will have been working part-time, studying part-time, and then everyone needs rest, and having 3 young kids, he probably did take himself away more. But
so don't you feel
we always had dinner at the table, so I remember him then.
Oh, he was there, okay.
And he was playful, and we did do things like what normal dad-daughter stuff, like teaching me how to ride a bike or going for hikes on the weekend and stuff. But yeah, I think
you didn't feel like, oh, I need more my dad, or
we're very close still now.
Mm-hmm.
If I go over to their house and want to watch a film, I'm more than comfortable snuggling up with him to watch a film. We were always at home, so it's just that maybe he was studying or working. Okay. So yeah,
that's a good example. How are you doing in your adult stage?
Oh, terrible.
Oh,
Terrible.
No, you're doing very well.
It's very hard. You don't realise how tricky it is, because adults, when you're growing up, make it look really okay. But I think being a parent is very challenging. Being a parent of 2 children, or 1 child, or a child with special needs is additionally so. And we live in a society where you're supposed to do everything on your own and be very stoic and brave and strong and be very organised, and everything's working out and you don't need any help from anybody. But,
or everything is perfect, no? Everything's is, you don't need help, yeah.
If I ask for help, it's very much one specific thing rather than overall I need help just constantly. Yeah. So yeah,
it's like this is the help. Don't ask for more.
It's supposed to be embarrassing
or
to
next
ask.
year.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. It's supposed to be embarrassing to ask for help, because you're admitting that you're not doing everything. But who on earth, who can be a parent and a human being flawlessly without any support.
Mhm.
I don't. I think that's amazing if people can do it, but it's not something I'm capable of.
Do you have children?
Yes, I've got
Yes.
2 kids.
2 kids. One of your children is having a special
Special needs,
physical
yeah.
condition. What have you learned from him? And
Like
what is
emotionally, yeah.
his condition, please?
So he, as of yet, does not have an official diagnosis, but a diagnosis of what his condition is.
Mhm.
But we have been told he has a genetic syndrome. They're
Mhm.
searching out what it's going to be, which has cognitive and congenital
Mhm.
implications. He has global development delays, which means that his communication skills, his understanding,
Mhm.
like his education,
Mhm.
is very limited.
Mhm.
And physically, he has some congenital things such as scoliosis, which affects part of his brain. Is really struggles with balance, so he didn't learn to walk until very recently, and he falls over quite a lot. He's not very dexterous. He's had to have one of his thumbs removed and changed, and he's going to have surgery on the other one. He's got other things as well, but those are the main ones which have impacted on his ability to like interact with the environment.
Mhm. How old is he?
7.
7 years old. What have you learned from him?
I have met my limit, and then found I have more energy and patience and time. I think having a child with special needs, he's never going to be able to go to the toilet on his own. He's never going to be able to get dressed. He will constantly need a carer, and he will never have, I suppose, what socially we understand. You have children to grow older, start a career, and then eventually look after you when you're old, and the cycle continues. But Ethan is the break in that cycle, and it's not about what we expect from the next generation. What we expect from our children is that they will have certain types of stepping stones. You know, they'll pass their GCSEs, they'll start high school, and they'll have a focus of what kind of career they want, or their first love interest, or things like that. I think letting go of the idea that those are ever going to be an expectation means that I'm able to reassess what is the point of having kids. What's the point of being alive? Is not to live in a capitalist society and earn money, or get good grades so that you can show your parents. Like, I have no expectations of him except just joy and health. So there's that.
Is something there that worries you about thinking of the future, or you know what I mean? Like, or everything will be all right, or just live the present, or how is your how's your feelings about it?
My partner and I are very different on this specific question. When we first found out that he's not just delayed, he was born premature, so when he was a baby, up to the age of about 2, we were under the impression that all of his delays were based on the fact he was premature. Usually with a preemie baby, by their first birthday, they'll have caught up with a sort of standard rate of progression, and he hadn't. So I always blamed myself. I thought I wasn't doing anything right, and I wasn't reading to him enough. That's why he's not speaking. I wasn't helping him with his physiotherapy often enough, so therefore he wasn't learning how to roll over or sit up on his own, and I wasn't feeding him well enough. I wasn't able to nurture him. I did struggle breastfeeding because he was born so early, and then it was just constant. Everything was just difficult for him, so he wasn't growing. So it was all my fault until I finally got that doctor to say he has a genetic syndrome. Like, nothing I did was wrong. I did everything I could have done. So that was a relief for me because it wasn't my fault. And then I just had a new path of, I have a child who has special needs. He's going to have limits to his capability. That's a relief rather than I've not been doing good enough. Whereas for my partner, it was very difficult because he had to let go of his future fantasies of what the child would become. You know, I don't think I had future ideas of what he could be because I really couldn't understand what was going on now, and it was all my fault. But it wasn't. So when you ask me about what does anything like worry me, when I think about the future, the thing that worries me is he will always need a full-time carer, and I am tired. I don't want to be. I don't want to be looking after a. When I say he's like kind of like a baby, because he's not potty trained. He can't speak. He eats the same meal every day, and he wants to watch the same cartoon every day, which is a baby like very young baby cartoon. So it's like having a very young toddler. He can walk around, so he's maybe like a 2-year-old that doesn't speak any words, but he's got he does have some hand signs that are very simplified for him, but he's probably got about 30 words, and he does understand when I'm speaking to him. But I am going to be the parent of effectively an adult baby. When my youngest moves out, she's got she's neurologically typical as far as we know. She's physically healthy. She will grow and learn and probably have dreams to move out from the family home and not be looked after by me constantly. Whereas my eldest, I'm never not going to be a parent of a young-minded baby.
Have you received or are you receiving support?
Well, so my eldest, he started having seizures just before Christmas, and when he did, it sort of had a chain reaction of the doctors and consultants getting back in touch. After lockdown, it almost felt like everything stopped. So he had his thumb surgery, and then we went into lockdown, and he was supposed to have his other thumb mended and his scoliosis brace, along with a few other things. But basically everything was just on hold, and his genetic tests, they were supposed to be a 1-year wait, and then it became a 2-year wait. It's now been 5 years, and we still have no idea. So you know, it's just going to keep going until we might never find out. But we've been waiting a long time. So I'm so sorry, what was the question?
If you are having support.
Right, so the consultants, basically the paediatric consultant talks to us once a year, because there's nothing life limiting, there's nothing that is causing my son to have ill health. The seizures were a concern, but he is now under the care of the seizure and epilepsy team in Elland. So we're trialing medication now. He's now only having 1 seizure every day or 2, so it's not as much as it was. It had been I think the worst day was about 5 seizures, and they were pretty horrendous to witness, and he was just exhausted. The school are very supportive, and they keep us in the loop. They let us know what he's been up to every day. It's really nice. Unfortunately, they're outside of school hours. There isn't any on-hand support. There's no, we don't have any respite care, but we are pursuing finding somebody who could do during the summer holidays or term holidays just a few hours a week where I can just have a bit of a break. Maybe I can actually, because I can't work while Ethan's at home all day, so I mean, even if I just had a 3-hour break in the window, so I could just have a bath, go for a walk, go to the gym, anything, just like, but yeah, my partner works from home some days, and during the summer holidays he's going to take 1 day a week off work so that he can look after the kids and give me a day a week. My mum looks after the kids 1 day a week, so that's another day, and then it's just me and the boy.
It's with everyone. He's like,
Yeah.
we are here.
Yeah.
What have you learned from this experience with him?
I would say that the biggest eye-opener for me was actually when my second child was born, when she started developing at a rate which was considered quite normal or average. That was when I realised how much I'd poured into my son, how much of me I had given, when actually a healthy baby with typical, no significant issues, the development was, I didn't need to create anything. A healthy baby will just be healthy and will grow and learn as they do. You don't need to teach them. They just absorb that from the surroundings. She learned how to roll over while I was on the toilet. And that was the moment when I started crying, like, oh my God, Ethan didn't roll over till he was about 3 or 4. And that was after a lot of intensive physiotherapy. And I thought I wasn't teaching my child how to roll over. So it was my fault that he hadn't learned how to roll. So that was actually the biggest lesson, was finding out what a typical baby is capable of learning on their own. And therefore, like, I'd always felt like Ethan's development was because I hadn't done enough. And actually, I'd done so much. That's why I was so tired all the time. I'm so sad. But yeah, so I've learned to just let go and just, he will be happy and fine. I don't need to force him to learn how to walk. He will learn how to walk at his own pace. And that pace is not to do with the chart of, you know, he should be speaking by this time, he should weigh this much, he should be this height, he should be able to walk this far.
What the society is expecting, you know. Yeah.
He's now off the charts, so we don't need to worry about the charts. As long as he's healthy, happy, clean-ish, yeah, no, he's quite a happy boy.
Have this experience changed you as a person?
Yeah, you have to learn to let go of a lot of things.
You mean the control, you know?
Yes, completely, yeah. I am no longer embarrassed if my house is untidy or unclean. I am not embarrassed, or I don't try and fight against, if I give Ethan the same meal every single evening and it has very minimal nutritional value, I'm not going to feel mum guilt for that, because he's alive and he's happy and he's getting the calories he needs, whether he's not getting his macro and micronutrients and it's not organic and I haven't spent hours making it all myself. Yes, I've got it out of a box from the freezer. He loves it and it's the only thing I can get him to eat. He can eat that for the rest of his life if he wants to.
How you learn this? Because you talk at therapy, or because yourself, or because on the way in the
I do go to therapy, which has been really helpful recently. I only started in January. I started with my therapist that I have now about 3 months ago, and it's been incredibly helpful because Ethan's birth was very hard, and the first few months and the first year of his life were very challenging. And like I said, I always thought it was my fault. So being able to look back at that period of time and assess like where those emotions were coming from and why I carry them with me sometimes with regards to my job or my family life at home, you know, anything. So I'm sorry, what did you ask me?
Why you how you learn this
to let go
thing,
of control.
yeah, exactly. Or
well,
yeah,
it was you could get into a total unhealthy spiral of trying and failing to have control of everything, trying to keep the house clean, and then failing to have time to provide food for your child or yourself. I didn't wash, I didn't eat, didn't wash myself, didn't eat, never got changed, never left the house, and then was just trying to keep this baby happy. And I was expecting my breasts to make milk when I wasn't eating or sleeping or drinking enough water.
Yeah.
And I was stressed out. Of course I'm not going to make any milk. But that's not my fault. I was overwhelmed with absolutely everything.
Trying to.
Yeah, I was averaging
Build a
about
puzzle.
2 or 3 hours sleep a day for a year, which is not enough to survive on. So yeah, of course you don't make sensible, logical choices when you've got no sleep. But
It's like sometimes we can be very strong and hard with ourselves. You know, like
yeah, I
why
was
you don't-
very hard on myself because I still, at that point when he was a baby, didn't know that he was different. Sorry, not. He wasn't. He had. I didn't know that he had a genetic syndrome at the time, and that there was congenital issues as well. So I made friends with a group of mums who we all went to prenatal yoga together. We all had babies around the same time, and at first we used to go out for coffee dates, just hanging out at each other's houses, seeing the kids playing together, and they all seemed so calm, well slept, clean, dressed, clean clothes, you know, taking the baby swimming. It's like, how can you go swimming at a time like this? How can you have a life? And they were talking about getting a babysitter, sleeping schedules. All of that seemed so beyond. It was not like, there was nothing similar to what I was going through. There was even another mother who had a premature baby, similar amount of prematurity. I think Ethan was about 2 months early and her baby was about 2.5, so, you know, really premature. And her baby was gaining weight and progressing and all the things that I was told my son would have. And it was just so alien to me. Like, none of it fitted with how I was experiencing things. But then I met a mum of another child with special needs, and the challenges that she was going through seemed really, really hard. And that was comforting. Not comforting like I'm glad that someone's suffering, but that I'm not alone.
Yeah. It's exactly, that's the point. Yeah. What do you do when you are having hard times? Like, for example, in some points,
how do I bring myself around, or what do I?
What do you do? For example, some people go running, or I don't know, drink cup of tea, or I don't know. It's something, you know.
If I'm going through a difficult patch, I'll find that my habits slip into just staring at my phone, playing on games or social media. But at the moment, what I'm doing is going for a run. Exercise really helps, but getting the motivation to exercise is hard. And the main thing I think for me is to allow myself to relax rather than feeling guilty about the fact I need to.
Okay.
So if I sit on the sofa, play on my phone, or binge watch some TV that's not educational.
No card.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just watching TV and just not doing anything. I'm not tidying the house. I'm not, you know, make batch cooking dinner for the rest of the week. I'm just sitting. I will sit there in guilt, feeling like I should be productive. I need to do more. But actually now what I'm finding is the most helpful thing. The only thing that seems to actually help is, this is your allotted time to do nothing. You're allowed to do nothing for about 2.5 hours. Do nothing. Don't even think about doing anything. Just sit there. You're allowed. And that's really helped, actually.
Okay, great.
Because then I want to go to bed, and then I want to wake up and tidy up the house, or you know, plan ahead. But it takes me forcing myself to do not do anything useful, nothing productive.
When did you start to do it? Recently.
Yeah. Well, I think even like just a few days ago.
Okay.
But it's literally
the
helped so far.
beginning. Yeah.
Mm.
Yes. I think there.
Yeah.
Would you change something from your life?
As it is now.
From how has been and is.
I think one of the main things that's coming up when I think about it is the house needs a lot of work doing on it. So fixing up the house, but then having the money to do that is tricky. So one of the main issues about the space where we live isn't just the little things that need fixing up, is the fact that it's not safe for my kids to play in the garden unless I'm there. And because of the distance between the house and the garden, if I want to pop inside to grab something, I have to take my eldest child with me, because if he has a seizure or if he falls down, he will hurt himself a lot, and it will take me a minute to get from the kitchen to back to him, even if I'm just getting a glass of water for the kids. Where I grew up, my parents' garden is attached to the house, and you could open the door and we'd play in the garden. My mum could see us from the kitchen or the living room, the bedroom. She could keep an eye on us. Whereas there's no choice to do that at this house. So if we were to have the opportunity to move, we'd probably get a house with a garden attached, or just get everything fixed up. Everything's just so expensive. But that's the only thing. Like, we desperately need respite care. We need somebody to help us look after our son when it's just a need. It's not a request, like a desire. It's pretty essential. So at the moment, that's only my mum. But yeah, that's what I'd change. Getting some respite care, even just a babysitter, plus fixing up the house.
What does love means to you?
It's not easy. Love isn't like just pure joy, because it's not full of joy. Love is obviously supposed to be just a pure happiness, but it's hard.
It's care too.
Yes. Love is so many things, and love can be really painful and difficult, but I would say it's a emotional commitment to somebody, I guess.
Thank you so much, Lois.
Thank
it was a pleasure to having here in the channel.
Thank you.
And wish you the best, as always.
Thank you.
Hope you enjoy this interview. Take, please, whatever you need. And keep well. Don't giving up, please. Giving up? No.
No.
And carry on, and see you in the next interview. Bye-bye.